Hey folks, this is Rhykker with the Diablo 2 Resurrected Item Farming Guide. This is part 3 of our 3-part series in which we cover all the best spots to farm the best gear in the game, where to farm for what kind of item, and which areas are best to farm based on your build. This series has been brought to you in collaboration with Diablo 2 expert Tio, and you can reference his written guides on maxroll.gg, where you can also find all manner of Diablo 2 guides and build guides for all the builds that we talk about in this video. Now, before you watch this one, be sure to have watched part 1 and part 2 where we covered early and mid game farming runs, because this is the end game, the late game farming runs. In order to be efficient in late game farming runs, you need to be well geared. That means Enigma and or Infinity. And with that, we're gonna dive right in. So the first area is the City of the Damned. This is a high level zone, level 84, meaning you can farm almost every item in the game here. However, the monsters here are gonna be much more challenging than in mid-game runs. They have more life and more resistances. Because of that, you really do need an Enigma and Infinity to be efficient. So why farm here instead of the pit and the ancient tunnels? Why farm here instead of 85 zones that are easier? Well, assuming you're strong enough to farm this zone, you have a direct waypoint in Act 4 straight to the City of the Damned. So you don't have to find this zone, you are instantly there. Those other places, you are wasting time locating them. Now this area is a massive square map, and you'll mainly be hunting elite packs. You'll run into a lot of immune monsters. Lighting immunity is a particularly big problem. An Infinity can help with that, but it won't be enough for some monsters. If you are a pure lightning build, this run is not recommended. Cold immunity is also a problem here, but it's not so bad that if you're a cold build, you should ignore this place completely. However, if you do see cold immune spawn, just mulligan the run. Leave the game, try again on a fresh run. Now, since your main reason for farming this zone will be to find super high level unique and set items, you'll want to maximize your magic find. But don't sacrifice too much kill speed or survivability, or your efficiency will drop. Now, a very rare map tile sometimes spawns in here. It's a cathedral with stained glass windows. If you happen to see this area, it always has an elite pack inside. For build recommendations, for the Amazon, we'll recommend the Freezing Arrow build. Again, we're ruling out lightning builds because of the lightning resistance. Freezing Arrow build deals massive area of effect crowd control to keep monsters away from you. She also has access to physical and magic damage for any immunes you run into. It's more difficult for this build to access teleport, but you can stack a lot of faster run walk to make up for its loss. For the Assassin, the Lightning Sentry build with an Infinity can kill everything in the City of the Damned, and with Burst of Speed granting great mobility, Enigma isn't even mandatory. For the Barbarian, the Elite Hunting Berserk build is your go-to. Jump on a boss, howl, and one-shot your foe. Then use Find Item on the corpse. For the Druid, the Hurricane Tornado Druid is well suited to farm this area. His physical and cold damage combo can kill everything in here, and his Arctic armor, high life pool thanks to Oak Sage, and minions that can tank hits grant him great survivability. For the Necromancer, you can run with either the Bone Spear build or the Summoner build. Bone armor lets you negate a lot of physical damage, keeps you safe, and your corpse explosion deals huge area of effect damage. The main difference between Bone Spear and Summoner playstyle is that with Bone Spear, you're sniping elites from afar, whereas with Summoner, you actually want to teleport right on top of them, because your summons teleport with you, so they'll instantly target the elite. For the Paladin, Blessed Hammer Paladin is best here, even before getting Enigma. Since it deals extra damage to undead, and almost everything in the City of the Damned is undead, the Hammerden can obliterate enemies in this area. Even before Enigma, his Charge Vigor and Staff of Teleportation combo give him all the mobility that he needs. And for the Sorceress, the Blizzard build is best. Now, one type of monster, Grotesques, are always cold immune, but they don't always spawn in the City of the Damned. If you do run into them, just skip this run, try again. Or if you have backup fire damage and an Infinity, you can use that to kill them. Alright, next zone, the River of Flame. This is a max level zone in which you can find any item in the game. Similar to City of the Damned, the monsters here are more challenging. But again, there is a waypoint directly in the area, so you save time on finding it. You can access the River of Flame either from the River of Flame waypoint or the City of the Damned waypoint, which is right beside the entrance to the River of Flame. Now, the River of Flame is a massive area, and it's not efficient to fully clear it. You're mainly targeting elite groups, and you have 2 different routes you can choose to take when clearing this area. The first and main route is to start at the River of Flame waypoint and clear elite groups on the way to the Chaos Sanctuary towards the northeast. And as a bonus, you can then chain this with a Chaos Sanctuary run, which we'll cover next. The second run has you start at the City of the Damned waypoint, then enter the River of Flame, and kill any elite packs you run into until you get to the River of Flame waypoint towards the northeast. With this route, you can even run into some super chests, and you can run the City of the Damned right before this run. And then you can even lead this run into a run of the first route that we just covered of River of Flame. For this run, you want to maximize your magic find as much as possible without sacrificing kill speed or survivability. For build recommendations, you generally want Enigma and or Infinity to be efficient. For the Amazon, we recommend Lightning Fury. In order to kill every elite group, you need an Infinity on your Mercenary, since Abyss Knights are immune to lightning. But all the other monsters here are easy to take down. Since her casting animation is rather slow, her mobility is not the greatest though. For the Assassin, the Lightning Sentry Trapson can kill everything in the River of Flame, even without Infinity. But since monsters have so much life, an Infinity really delivers a big damage boost. Thanks to Burst of Speed, Enigma isn't as important. For the Barbarian, the Berserk build is your best bet. You hunt elites, jump on them, howl, find item on the corpse. For the Druid, the Hurricane Tornado build is best for this run. It can kill everything and can survive very well. For the Necromancer, either the Bone Spear or Summoner build are best. Bone Spear snipes elites from afar, Summoner teleports onto them. Corpse Explosion deals all the area effect damage that you need. For the Paladin, the Hammerden is your go-to. He's going to be only marginally slower than a Sorceress before he gets Enigma. Blessed Hammer deals extra damage to almost everything in the River of Flame, shredding monsters in this area. And for the Sorceress, the Lightning build is best, but only once you get an Infinity on your Mercenary. You need the Infinity to deal with the Lightning immunes. And that takes us to our next run, which is actually the best place to farm in Diablo 2 overall. The Chaos Sanctuary. Between all the bosses you run into here, plus Diablo himself, you can farm large amounts of unique and set items, runes, item bases, and as a bonus, experience too. Also, Diablo's the only monster in the game who can drop the Burning Essence of Terror, which is one of the 4 essences you need to make a token of absolution to respec your character. Even if you don't use it yourself, you can use it as a trade currency with other players. However, this is one of the most challenging runs in the game. If you're undergeared and lacking resistances, especially fire resistance, and lacking overall damage output, this area will kick your butt. To access it, take the River of Flame waypoint and head over the bridge to the northeast. One thing to note is that the rarest drops from this zone don't actually come from Diablo or the 3 bosses you unlock via the seals. They actually come from the randomly spawning elites you'll run into, so don't skip those elites. Now, there's a special strategy you can use here called seal popping. After you open all 5 seals and kill all 3 seal bosses, all the monsters in the Chaos Sanctuary will die and Diablo will spawn. Now, if when this happens, any monsters are in a state we call active, they will drop loot when they die this way. Now, monsters become active when they are within 2 screens of you. And if you then move further than 2 screens away, they will remain active for about 8 seconds. Enemies will also always remain active if near a town portal. So the trick here is, you kill all the seal bosses, but keep one of the non-boss seals deactivated. Then, quickly teleport past as many enemies as you can to activate them all. You drop a town portal along the way as well in a strategic spot. Then you activate the final seal. All active enemies now die and hopefully drop a bunch of stuff. We should note, however, that these specific drops are not affected by magic find, because you're technically not the one killing them. The drops are, however, affected by player count. Now, for build recommendations, every class is capable of eventually farming this area, but Hammerdens can do it best, thanks to the additional damage that Blessed Hammer does to demons and undead, and this area is chock full of them. For the Amazon, the Lightning Fury build is best, but only if you have an Infinity. With it, she can deal incredible amounts of damage to decimate enemies in this area, but her low mobility means she can't really make use of that seal popping trick as efficiently as other classes. For the Assassin, the Lightning Sentry build can take out any enemy in here thanks to the 1-2 punch of Lightning and Death Sentry. This gives you a combination of lightning, fire, physical damage, so you can handle any immunity you run into. An Infinity helps you out here, but it's not required. If you don't have an Infinity, however, a Wand of Lore Resistance is recommended. Burst of Speed gives you all the mobility that you need, and if you can pair this with a Staff of Teleportation or an Enigma, then your mobility becomes excellent. For the Barbarian, you can go with either the Berserk or the Whirlwind build, though he is very gear dependent and cannot efficiently handle this run on a budget. But if you get some good gear, like a Grief and an Enigma, then you'll have the mobility, the damage, and the survivability to farm this area. Now, both the Berserk and the Whirlwind build can deal physical and magic damage, and nothing in the Chaos Sanctuary is naturally immune to these elements. The Berserk build is excellent at single target damage, and thus taking out the bosses on this run, but killing big groups is his weakness, and that's the Whirlwind Barbarian's strength. For the Druid, the Hurricane Tornado build can farm the Chaos Sanctuary fairly well, even on a low budget. This won't be the fastest build at farming the zone, but his mixture of physical and cold damage allows him to deal with almost all enemies here. Oak Sage gives him a lot of life, his summons can tank and distract enemies, so his survivability is also pretty good. For the Necromancer, you can go with either the Bone Spear build or the Summoner build. While the Necromancer lacks mobility without gear options, he has an arsenal of tools at his disposal to farm the Chaos Sanctuary with little threat to himself. Bone Prison, Bone Wall, Curses, Summons. This gives you all the crowd control you need to ensure you don't die. And then, whether you're using summons, whether you're using Bone Spear, Corpse Explosion is your real damage source. You're using Bone Spear and the summons just to create the first corpses that you're going to use to start those chain reactions. But when dealing with Diablo himself, the Summoner is the stronger option due to having a large number of minions that can quickly deal a lot of single target damage. For the Paladin, the Blessed Hammer build is the star of the show. Even before Enigma, Charge, Vigor, Staff of Teleportation, only marginally slower than a Sorceress. However, with patch 2.4, Fists of the Heavens gets some substantial buffs and becomes very competitive with the Hammerdin. On low player count, he's actually more efficient than a Hammerdin, but on higher player counts, the Hammerdin gets the edge. So if you're playing by yourself, Fists of the Heavens is better. If you're playing in a group with friends, Hammerdin is better. For the Sorceress, the Blizzard or Lightning build is what you'd want to go with. However, Blizzard relies on the Mercenary to kill the Lord of the Seas, while the Lightning Sorceress requires an Infinity. Alright, the final traditional run before patch 2.4 was the Worldstone Keep and Bale. This is the most challenging farm in the game, but it can also be the most rewarding. Between the large number of elite packs you run into on Worldstone Keeps level 2 and 3, plus the Throne Room, plus Bale himself, you get a large amount of XP, unique set, runes, and item bases. Elites in this area can drop every set and unique item in the game. If you're hunting for runes and bases, you ideally want to farm in a 7-player game. Player 7. And you don't need Magic Find either to hunt for runes and bases. Do kill all elites and their minions. If you want magic items, then stack Magic Find and play on players 1. And only kill the main boss of an elite pack, so that you can guarantee a drop and then move on to the next pack. You could also just rush to the Throne of Destruction if you have the mobility for it and prioritize killing the waves that Bale spawns, and then Bale himself. This strategy is the most efficient way to get to level 95 and above. Now to farm this area, you take the waypoint to the Worldstone Keep level 2. The exit to the Worldstone Keep level 3 is always to the right of the waypoint tile. And then from the Worldstone Keep level 3, the location of the Throne of Destruction is always random. Now once you reach the Throne of Destruction, you'll fight the 5 waves of minions that Bale spawns, and then Bale himself. A tip for the Bale fight: when Bale summons his clone, you don't need to kill his clone. Now only Bale can teleport, not his clone, so kill the one that teleports. If you're still struggling, run 2 to 3 screens away from Bale, and return to town for a couple of seconds. This will despawn the clone most of the time. Now every monster in the Worldstone Keep and the Throne of Destruction is naturally immune to at least 1 damage type, and about half of them cannot be overcome by Infinity or other common sources of immunity breaking. If your build deals only 1 damage type, you will generally need to ignore some monster packs to be efficient. And to efficiently farm these zones, you generally need your best in slot gear. For the Amazon, Lightning Fury is best, but you cannot farm this zone without an Infinity. There will also be some lightning immunes that you cannot break with an Infinity. You can use Jab against these, but if they're too difficult to kill, just ignore them. For the Assassin, the Lightning Sentry build can take out any enemy here easily, since you're dealing lightning, fire, and physical damage. If you run into enemies that are immune to lightning and fire, and they don't die when you pop the nearby corpses with Death Sentry, then just move on. For the Barbarian, you can go with either Berserk or Whirlwind. For the regions before the Throne Room, the Berserker is recommended. His high magic and physical damage means he can manage any immunity he comes across. But since he's a single target build that skips most enemies, his kill speed against Bale's minions isn't great. And the second wave of minions is naturally magic immune and has high physical resistance, which really slows you down. For farming these minions and then Bale himself, Whirlwind is better. It deals more physical damage and applies Crushing Blow a lot more easily than the Berserker, which speeds up the Bale kill time. For the Druid, the best option is the Hurricane Tornado build. While not very fast, its mix of physical and cold can deal with most immunes. Its Cyclone Armor, Summon Grizzly, and Oak Sage make it very tanky, and Decrepify cast by your Mercenary will boost your tornado damage. For the Necromancer, the Summoner build is your best bet. Thanks to his army of minions that can tank hits for him, it's a very safe build. Corpse Explosion, granting big physical and fire damage, means you can get by any immunity. Killing Bale goes quickly if you have revives with Crushing Blow. For the Paladin, the Hammerdin is your go-to for the Worldstone Keep. However, against Wave 2, the mighty Hammerdin has no good way to deal with the magic immune monsters. So as of patch 2.4, if you want to farm Bale by yourself, Fist of the Heavens is now your go-to. Then for the Sorceress, the Lightning build is your best bet, but you should only farm the zone if you have an Infinity. With that Infinity plus 200% faster cast rate, you can shred enemies here, and any enemy whose immunity is not broken by your Infinity should be skipped. Alright, now new to patch 2.4, we have another late game farm, the Icy Cellar. As of patch 2.4, this is an area level 85 zone, meaning any item can now drop in here. This place lacks fire immunes, but extremely dangerous monsters can still spawn here, souls and dolls. On the plus side though, ghosts also spawn here, which are a great source of rune drops. You can also run into evil urns, which when you click on them, will spawn extra elite packs. You can also find a gold chest in here, plus the super unique boss, Snap Chip Shatter. Now compared to other max level zones, like the Pit and Ancient Tunnels, the danger here is much higher. You need a well-rounded build with mobility, damage, and magic find to be efficient here. Enigma and Infinity are very important. To find the Icy Cellar, take the Ancient's Way waypoint in Act 5. There's a trick to finding the Icy Cellar. The waypoint is in a tile with potentially multiple exits, but they'll all face one direction. From the perspective of your character, running in the direction of the exits, the Icy Cellar will always be to your character's right. In fact, if you want to get really advanced, there are 4 possible waypoint spawn tiles, and each of those has one specific corresponding exit tile. Now, once inside, you'll always find Snap Chip Shatter guarding the golden chest, and he always spawns as Cursed and Cold Enchanted. He can drop every item in the game other than Tyrael's Might, Arachnid Mesh, and Azarath. To deal with the dangerous dolls and souls that spawn, you want items with physical damage reduction. That's for the dolls, and lightning absorb items, like Thunder God's Vigor, to deal with the souls. You'll run into monsters in the Icy Cellar with a variety of immunities, but none naturally have magic or fire immunity. Apart from builds that use these specific damage types, hybrid builds are the best here to be able to handle the various immunities. If you're a lightning build, you're going to have trouble here without an Infinity. If you're a physical build, you'll have trouble breaking physical immunities without a source of amplified damage or decrepify. Now, your main reason for farming the Icy Cellar is for the super high level, unique, and set items. So you want to ensure you stack as much magic find as you can handle. Again though, just don't sacrifice too much kill speed or survivability, but this is a very small area with a high density of elite groups, so it's a nice farm if you can handle it. For build recommendations, we'll start by saying that if you do not have very high-end gear, like an Enigma or an Infinity, we do not recommend farming this zone. For the Amazon, Lightning Fury Javazon is best once she has Infinity. However, without an Enigma, she has terrible mobility relative to other builds, but her insane damage output melts enemies in here once she gets Infinity. For the Assassin, either the Lightning Sentry build or the Fire Blast build can do well here. The Lightning Sentry will struggle a bit without Infinity, however, but the trick would be to use Fire Blast, which in 2.4 is a lot stronger now. For the Barbarian, the Berserk build is the most efficient elite hunter, and Howl will send those dangerous monsters running away from you. For the Druid, the Fisher Druid is best due to it being a fire build, and thus facing no naturally fire immune monsters, but it does require a decent amount of gear to function well. For the Necro, you can go either Summoner or Bone Spear. Bone Armor keeps them safe from dolls, and Corpse Explosion deals that massive physical and fire area damage. Bone Spear will snipe enemies from a safe distance, while the Summoner can just use his Enigma to teleport onto a boss, and the minions will gank the boss. For the Paladin, Blessed Hammer. Yep, the Hammerden, even before Enigma, can obliterate monsters in this zone, and his high mobility from Charge and Vigor keep him fast while doing so. Since Blessed Hammers are magic, you'll run into no immunities. Fist of the Heavens, newly buffed, also works nicely here. Lastly, for the Sorceress, the Hydra build or Meteor build are both great choices here, being fire. Hydra's very strong, allows you to keep a safe distance from enemies, while Meteor and Fireball deal huge damage. And lastly, that covers the other new zone, the Drifter Cavern. Very similar to the Icy Cellar. You can find ghosts here as well. You'll find evil urns that can spawn more elite packs. It has a gold chest in it, and again, as of patch 2.4, it is a level 85 area, so any item can drop here. Moon Lords are some of the most dangerous monsters here, and again, like the Icy Cellar, you want a solid build, mobility, damage, and magic find to be efficient in this zone. Enigma, Infinity, very important. To get to the Drifter Cavern, take the Act 5 waypoint to the Glacial Trail. And just like the Icy Cellar, there's a map reading trick to find the correct direction to go in. From the tile exit directions, this time, instead of to your character's right, the Icy Cellar will be straight ahead. And again, there are 4 possible spawn tiles, each with a corresponding exit tile to the Drifter Cavern. You can, however, go to the right first to take out Bonesaw Breaker, a super unique, in the Glacial Trail guarding a sparkling chest. He can drop almost any item in the game, and the golden chest is also worth getting. For build recommendations, Hybrid damage builds are again recommended to be able to handle the various immunities. Lightning immunes are the biggest problem if you lack an infinity. Again, maximizing your magic find here to try to get those super high level unique and set items is ideal. And the picks are pretty much the same as the Icy Cellar. So Amazon, again, Lightning Fury with an infinity. Assassin, Lightning Sentry or Fire Blast. Barbarian, Berserk. Druid, Hurricane Tornado. It's well suited for farming this zone, mixing physical and cold damage. His Arctic armor, his high life pool through Oak Sage, and summons that run interference keep him alive. For the Necromancer, Bone Spear or Summoner. For the Paladin, Hammerden. And for the Sorceress, either the Lightning build or the Meteorb Sorceress. Lightning Sorceress needs an infinity, but once she has it, she can easily handle this area. Meteorb Sorceress uses a combination of Frozen Orb and Meteor, using cold and fire to deal with the different immunities that you'll run into. And that is going to wrap up this video. But do be sure to have checked out all of our other dozen or so Diablo 2 guides that we've put out over the past couple weeks. We got a YouTube playlist. You can also find the videos on Rhykker.com. And I wish you good luck and happy hunting. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoy what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more Diablo content.